Well, joining me today on Raw Docs is Michael Crain, a private investigator. We've worked on another project together, and most recently started working on the Rainy Street Ripper.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Martin a little bit. Victim number 4
Yeah.
that went missing. Hired by the family
Yep.
because they're not getting any answers from the police, and hired Michael Crain. So tell us a little bit about you, Michael.
Started out as a 19-year-old state police officer, did that for a few years, served in the Navy, got out, needed a job that paid pretty good, got in the car business, which actually turned out to be a heck of a deal. It really gave me, honed my skill at watching people, noticing little bitty nuances. And frankly, it just, as I now have become a private investigator and licensed bodyguard, it helps me notice things that most people would not normally recognize. Situational awareness.
Right. And how did you get involved? You're not from Austin, Texas.
No, I'm not. I've lived here before, loved the town, was not involved, but I kept hearing this story about this serial killer loose in Austin and how the city was denying it, and it's all a bunch of accidents, and I started looking at that. In a 5-year period, they've had over 20 people show up dead in a 1-mile stretch of road. I don't know what the odds are on that, but I would say they're probably astronomical.
Very unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll dive into that a little bit more, but you were contacted by Mitch, Martin's brother.
Correct.
So tell me that.
Well, as I started talking around work, it turns out that Mitchell and Martin, his brother, one of the victims, their family lives right outside of where I'm living. And several of the people I work with knew him and said I should get in contact with them. And so Mitch and I got together and we started talking about this, and all the dirty little rumors that float around your conspiracy theorist, turns out not one of them are true. I mean, this kid, he's not gay, and they said, oh, it's a gay thing. It's really not. Oh, it's a young person, 25 to 35 thing. It's really not. Mm-hmm. And this is a kid that worked out every day, loved his family, didn't do any drugs, had a job, had a career, was just he's a 1%er is what I call him nowadays. He was just a good stand-up guy. He's an avid swimmer, and all of a sudden this guy drowns.
Right.
None of it made any, he's just not, he doesn't fall into that cookie cutter image of the weakling that got drunk and wandered off in the water and couldn't get his way out. This kid was more than capable of getting out.
Right. So a little back, giving a little context of what happened in his case, in Martin's case.
Martin and his brother, Martin was living with his brother and his brother's wife, and they're both professionals. Both of them are nurse practitioners. Martin was also in the medical field. He has dinner with his family.
Let me correct you.
Okay.
Martin actually worked in finance.
That's correct. He worked at a bank.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Martin's, but in a professional setting, though. So he goes to dinner with his brother and sister-in-law about 8 o'clock. They have dinner at a little sports place, and he has 1, maybe 2 beers in an hour and a half. At 9:30, he gets an Uber, which was his normal means of transportation here in Austin, and he goes down to Rainy Street. And at the head of Rainy Street, there was a couple of bars. There was a bar called Alibis, which is not there anymore, and right next to it, Luster Pearl. And so he meets his friends at a bar across the street, and they transfer to Luster Pearl. Mm-hmm. He doesn't drink anything at the first bar. They almost immediately go across the street to Luster Pearl. He has 2 beers there. They leave there about 12:30. So from 8 o'clock till 12:30, this kid, this young man, has had 4 beers that we can absolutely verify as the most he had to drink. They literally walked 30 feet to Alibis, the next bar next door. Mm-hmm. And in that 30 feet, Martin becomes so disoriented that the bartenders think that he's intoxicated. On video, it shows him sitting next to another couple, and he's just chatting them up, and you can tell that they're uncomfortable, either from his behavior or whatever he was saying. And so they excuse themselves, they leave. Martin he's not served there. They won't serve him. So he walks out back in the backyard of this little house where the restrooms are, and he goes to the bathroom. But instead of coming back in where his three friends are, he leaves through a side gate, walks around the front, and is captured on camera, and he's almost skipping, for lack of not something a power lifter, swimmer, athlete, even his family says, behavior's just all wrong. So, in my opinion, whatever happened at Luster Pearl. Whether that was, you've got three possibilities, and that's what we look for in an investigation. We look for finite possibilities. Mm-hmm. So either one of his three good friends slipped him something. Number two, the bartender slipped him something. Not too good of a friend. Right, not too good of a friend. Right. Or number three, somebody that he may not have even talked to slipped him something while he was getting a beer. Mm-hmm. But again, finite possibilities. But whatever happened, hit him quick. 4 beers in 4.5 hours, it's nothing. Not for a season. Not for a 25-year-old that goes out every weekend, right? Yeah. And he's athletic. He's not a heavy drinker or anything like that. So shouldn't have been an issue at all. And he walks 30 feet. And in 30 feet, he's so disoriented that they won't serve him, believing he's intoxicated. And the first question is, well, that sure looks weird for the friends. Well, the friends didn't know how much he had to drink at dinner. Mm-hmm. So they didn't know if it had all of a sudden hit him, but they knew they couldn't he wasn't going to be served. Right. So why didn't the friends keep up with him? Well, he went out back, and then they thought he just got an Uber, which is his standard mode of transportation, right, and left. But there's cameras, and I went to Luster Pearl and went through there. There's 12 cameras inside and outside that bar. But guess what? It's all destroyed. Which is one of the interesting points in this case. And just so the audience knows, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I've produced a number of series for network television. You and I have worked together on a crime doc. And I called you up, and, we started to look into doing something on the Rainey Street Ripper, whatever it is. Right. Killer, serial killer, accident, and met with Martin and filmed with him. With Mitchell. With Mitchell. I'm sorry. Filmed with Mitchell. And coming from Mitchell, very odd behavior. All these things are out of his normal behavior. Right. 4 drinks, not served, skipping down the road, and then head south. So take me from there. Let me say one thing before we go there. Yeah. When you and I first started talking about this, and you can confirm this, I looked at it just briefly and said, I remember what you said. Yeah, I don't think there's a killer. Yeah. I was disappointed, by the way. Yeah, I could tell. But I thought there's just there. So a serial rapist, serial killer, they have one trait in common, always one. They Jones for it. They crave it. So generally it gets worse and worse and worse. They need it more and more and more. And I couldn't find any correlation between the timeline. Sometimes it was 3 bodies in a week, and then other times it was 280 days. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't ring true. But I thought, okay, I'm going to take a look at it. And then I found the family, and I visited with, and I found out this is not a druggy kid. This is a good kid. So how did this kid that works out, that's an avid swimmer, drowned? And the more we got into it, the more I got interested in finding an answer.
Well, where the bells and alarms started going off for me was when we spoke with Mitch, how the police responded.
Yeah.
I found that to be highly suspect.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically dismissed it right away. When we investigated with Mitch and met with Mitch, and just to put it in context for people who aren't from Austin, Texas, Lady Bird Lake, and they call it a lake, it's really the Lower Colorado River.
Correct.
Right? It's a river. It's not a fast flowing river. It's kind of a still body of water, right?
Yeah.
And it's about 400 yards away from Rainy Street. So what would somebody end up there? Why would they end up there? And you have a good theory on that.
Yeah.
But take us through that night.
Okay, so after Martin leaves Alibis, he goes by the front of it, but then he goes towards Lady Bird Lake, and so there's a number of bars on either side of the road. I counted 18 cameras to either side, so literally every step this kid took should have been on camera. Turns out a lot of those cameras are just faux cameras. They're just there for show and not functional. But he was captured on several of them. He gets to the end of Rainy Street, the other end of Rainy Street, and he does a dog leg to the left and walks out to I-35 and gets on the service road.
Where he's captured on camera.
Which is captured on camera.
A couple of times.
Couple of different times. But there's nothing down there. There's nothing to draw him in that direction. But the last time he was captured on Rainy Street, he's got his phone in his hand, and he's doing something with his phone. Well, it turns out he calls an old girlfriend that is a nurse.
Right. Dana? Dana, right?
I believe that's her name, yeah. Calls Dana and says, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm down on Rainy Street. This is a kid that lives on his Uber app. Right. Lives on it, but he's calling someone that he cares about, someone he feels safe with.
It's maybe a booty call.
And it could be.
Right.
It could be.
Right.
But she says, I'm on shift till 3 a.m.
Right.
So you should get an Uber.
So it's never been explained what happened. And what I was a little shocked about in this day and age, only captured a couple of times. Now it turns out that yes, there is over probably 15 to 20 bars on Rainy Street.
Yeah.
None of their cameras were functional.
Right.
They're essentially for show.
Right.
Okay. So he's only captured by one at the corner, right? I believe after Alibis, and then is captured again on I-35. According to the police reports, he goes down the service road, access road, goes on the bridge, falls or jumps off or is pushed off.
Yeah, that was their theory.
Their theory is he survives a 40-foot fall.
It's more than that. It's every bit of 50 feet.
Okay. A pretty long
significant,
fall. Pretty significant. I don't care how tough you are. Hits his head, gets up, and walks into the water? Is that kind of the theory?
They never really said what part of the bridge he fell off of. But here's the part I have trouble with. So when he gets to the I-35 service road, he goes south past the towers of Town Lake. There's a Chevron station on the other side of a road, and there's a little cul-de-sac in between the buildings.
There's a Holiday Inn, there's a Chevron,
correct,
and then there's this condominiums.
Yeah, I think Towers of Town Lake.
Towers of Town Lake. Right.
So he turns, because he's never captured on the Chevron video. So he turns and goes back back towards Rainy Street, and then he's captured on one of their cameras walking down the trail beside Lady Bird Lake. But where he's walking, it's in the opposite direction of the bridge that the police have theorized that he fell off of. So
Which is just a theory.
It's just a theory.
It's not captured.
It's not right.
And why did they come up with that theory? Because of the. So explain the. I don't want to get into the forensics. You explain the forensics.
Okay.
What does the report say? He's got the report says he's got a small contusion.
Correct. And they describe it in the autopsy report as a bruise 2.5 centimeters by 2 centimeters. So roughly the size of a 50-cent piece on the base of the right side of his head. Two problems with that. Number one, that is a central impact. So it's not whether he fell off the middle of the bridge and hit the water on his back, or he fell off the bridge and hit the bank on his back. You're going to have everything from massive bruising to dislocated vertebrae, potentially a broken neck, collarbone, a number of ribs. But he's got this one bruise. Here's problem number two. Do you know what it takes to bruise?
You have to be alive.
You have to have a pulse.
Right.
A bruise that size takes about an hour and a half to develop. So he had to have a pulse for at least an hour and a half for that to develop.
Okay.
So, somebody says, oh, well, he did it before. Okay.
Well, not to interrupt, but Mitch describes it as a large contusion, right? Correct?
He does.
Where did he get that from?
I don't know if that was because...
From the detective?
I believe so. Mitchell never viewed the body.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah, which is another issue.
Right. Okay.
So the way the coroner, the ME, medical examiner, describes it and measures it out, it's about the size of a 50-cent piece. Mm-hmm. But if I were to come up behind you and, say, hit you with a 3/4-inch pipe at the base of the skull, it would knock you out. It would incapacitate you at the very least.
Right.
And it would leave an impact where that happened. It would spread out like that.
So being hit with a 2x4, a pipe, something hard, that could do that.
That could do that.
Correct.
Falling off a 50-foot bridge, I don't care what you hit.
It would crack your skull.
It'd fracture your skull. It would leave bruising up and down your neck, the back of your head.
Now, we did a little bit of a test, didn't we?
We did.
We did. I mean, and let me back up a little bit. Every time I approach any project, a documentary, especially in the crime space, we try the best of our ability to go back and reenact some of these things, cause and effect. What would cause that? Is that possible?
Right.
And so we could show the audience, it's kind of like criminal Mythbusters, right?
Right.
So we did it with a watermelon. I guess you could do it with a coconut. You could do it with a ballistic head.
But we did it with a smaller, thicker, sturdier watermelon.
Right.
At about 15 feet, not 50.
Right. And at 15 feet, it shattered so much that I felt like, well, that's just going to be hard to explain. I mean, because it just exploded.
Right.
But I think it proves our point.
Right.
Yes?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Had we gone to the top to 50 feet and dropped that same watermelon in the water, it would have split the melon in two.
Oh, absolutely.
We dropped it over on the side, and look what it did at 15 feet. At 50 feet, this kid probably would have been dead.
Or paralyzed.
Yeah, in a best case scenario, paralyzed.
So I want to go back to the forensics of this. He could not have developed a contusion without a pulse.
Correct.
Right? The eyes. Let's talk about the eyes. The eyes are another red flag here, right?
Huge red flag. But let me
go ahead.
Let me back up to the video. So the video from the towers of Town Lake show him walking down along parallel with the river that feeds into the Colorado River, feeds into Lady Bird Lake. Mm-hmm. The bridge that the police suggested he fell off is behind him. How come it didn't capture him going back? Yep. Doesn't. That's the only video.
Right.
So, again, have a problem with it. So here's the thing with the eyes. When a person dies, regardless of manner that they die, their eyes open up. When it's exposed to sunlight or air, the eyes will become milky, opaque. That is about a 2-hour process. But according to the police, he fell off this bridge and couldn't get out of the water and wandered into it disoriented and drowned.
In Martin's case, what was it ruled? A drowning?
Yes, it was. The cause of death was drowning, and the manner of death was classified as accidental.
Okay.
So everybody goes to looking for Martin. Martin doesn't show up for work. What really red flagged his brother Mitchell was the fact that they worked out together every day. Mitchell got their pre-workout mixed up, was ready for the brother to show up. Nothing.
I mean, this was a daily thing.
Daily routine.
Because Mitch would get off his shift.
Yep.
I believe they would meet, at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Yep.
Something like that. Or he would prep it, and they were in the gym at 8 o'clock like clockwork.
Right.
And Martin worked at, I believe, a financial institution. He gave out loans.
Right.
He's a graduate from Texas Tech. I mean, this is a guy that has a lot going for him. Lots.
And a good-looking kid, too.
I mean, really, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, both brothers are nice-looking guys. The point of that is he was a professional.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a working professional. He wasn't a drug user. He wasn't into, I don't know, any sort of
Nothing.
any bad extracurriculars.
Right.
Maybe just like to have a couple beers.
Yep.
Call a girl, and I mean, a typical 25-year-old
Sure.
guy living in Austin, Texas,
Sure.
right? So he goes missing, and then what happened? Martin immediately, or I'm sorry, Mitch, immediately goes on the hunt.
Once they realize something is way wrong here, Mitchell files police report for missing persons, contacts the friends. Everybody coordinates, and for the next week, they are meeting every morning down by Rainy Street and Lady Bird Lake and doing searches. Travis County Search and Rescue, a volunteer group, gets involved, and because of sonar technology that they've got, they
do infrared as well.
Yeah. They've got FLIR, infrared. They've got helicopters, and they decide that
within 2 days.
Almost immediately.
Yeah. I would say it was almost sooner than that. They say, no way, he's in the water.
He's not in the water.
You can just forget about this. Don't look this direction. Go that direction.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's what they do.
And that's exactly what they do.
Right. So they go, they recruit their friends, they start to get it out in the media. They start to put up flyers, which I found, Mitch didn't make a big deal about this, but I found it to be odd. They make flyers and they start to post them up at every bar you possibly could. What happens to those flyers?
The flyers are taken down mysteriously.
Immediately.
Yeah.
They're not up for 24 hours.
Right.
So the search is continued. They start to expand that search to East Austin and around that central area.
Right.
Then a couple of strange things start to happen, right?
So Mitchell and his friends, Martin's friends, are going from bar to bar to bar asking for the video.
Which can't be released to them.
Well, yes and no. That is at the discretion of the bar.
Okay.
The one that he has trouble with is Lester Pearl. Lester Pearl says, "Hey, I can't release that until my manager gets back." Which, okay, that's extremely likely and plausible. But somewhere in there, Mitch gets a call from a Hispanic convention center that's located pretty close by. And they tell them that the cops have been there, that they were very rude, and they were asking for the wrong day.
Right.
Video from the wrong day.
So just to get a timeline and get the viewer's head, he goes missing on a Sunday night.
Yeah, the 19th of, I believe it was November. So keep in mind, now Austin's warm, but it's November. It can get chilly at night.
In that particular, I don't have a farmer's almanac or anything,
Right.
but I believe they said that it was pretty frigid.
Yeah.
Not freezing, but
Correct.
But in the upper 30s.
Right.
Okay. So take it from there. So the police are aggressive at this first place, at this Hispanic Culture Center. Then they go to Lester Pearl. And what happens there?
Well, same thing. The police apparently asked for video from the wrong date that would not have shown Martin at all. And then it just
they delete
gets erased. Once they give the police the wrong days, they erase the whether that was an accident, which I believe is what they claimed, is we didn't know, so we just deleted it and started over. It's on a loop.
But but it's an active investigation. At this point, they haven't found him. You would think that they would want to hold every piece of evidence possible. And let's remind people, Martin wasn't the first.
No.
Martin's victim number 4 in the
yeah.
context of all this.
Well,
right?
and that's 4 in a 5-year period. We can go all the way back to 2008 before it really became kind of a bar mecca in Austin, kind of like a secondary 6th Street. In 2008, there was a gentleman in his 50s that was found deceased, drowned, that was bound. His hands and feet were bound together. And there was an investigation, and the ME office decides that he is a suicide.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy, he's older, he's established, he's a family man, he's got grown kids that are successful. He's an activist. He's a peace activist here in Austin. So he's got a face that people would recognize at that time. And he just decides one day, it's all over with. I'm going to tie my hands and feet together somehow, and I guess jump off a bridge and drowned.
So is that one ruled a suicide?
That one was ruled a suicide.
Okay. So going and then there's a period of nothing happens up
Correct.
until about what, 2018?
Yeah.
2018, and then we had one back in 2015 that again was questionable, but really 18. From that point on, it really starts to amp up. Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Is now you're a private investigator, a licensed private investigator, and you start to dive into this and start to give me information.
Okay, so
and I tell you, I was immediately going, are you sure there's nothing going on, Mike? Because all this,
right.
I think at that point,
the first thing I did was I collected the names, and then I started building a timeline. How many days in between? And it was just so random that I almost immediately said, nothing's going on here. Now, that's the kind of private investigator that you want, is somebody to say, I'm going to prove that nothing has happened here. But at the same time, I'm open-minded to the idea that something is going on. So then what I did was I sent off for 12 autopsy reports. I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for pushback. Pushback would indicate a cover-up. But if I get them, I'm going to take the 30,000-foot view, and I'm going to break it down. I'm not really interested in who did it as much as far as the autopsy goes, but I'm interested in what the cause of death is, what the manner of death is, and what the toxicology report says. That's important to me. So I get these 12 autopsies, and I noticed not long after Martin's autopsy, all of a sudden, and this may be a standard practice at the ME's office, I can't imagine that it's not, all of a sudden they all start to get reviewed within a few months. So is that with every autopsy, or are we really focusing in on the Rainy Street?
Well, it's almost like you had 10 victims.
Yeah.
Orders come from higher up. Hey, we need to look in this. And they start to order. They do a little bit more than just an autopsy. They start to do toxicologies, correct?
The toxicology is a standard operating procedure.
But it wasn't performed on Martin.
Well, it was.
Okay.
But it was basically a basic tox. Like if you were to go down for your job for a UA or go to Walmart and pee in a jar,
right?
Boom. So all it said was this kid had a alcohol content of 0.20. Now, the cops also suggested that at 2.0 he was over twice the legal limit.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not factor into the fact that this guy, Martin, was in the water for 6 days.
Right. And what happens to your body?
You ferment.
Okay.
I mean,
that's science.
Yeah.
That's not
your
science.
Theory. That's not a
science.
theory. That's science.
Right.
You ferment. So a little bit of an alcohol content will become a great big alcohol content the longer you're in the water. And eventually you stay in the water long enough or you bump into something, you're going to pop. I mean, it's not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing about it that's pretty. But on day, I believe it was the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
So Martin disappears on the 19th. On the 26th, and we can get into this.
Well, I don't. I don't know.
You know where I'm going with that,
yeah,
right?
Okay, go ahead.
So on the 26th, there's a lot of apartment condos in that area, high rise.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to point out for people that don't know, a 2-bedroom apartment in that area is $4,000 or $5,000 a month. So it's not like you've got
maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Back when I lived downtown,
The higher up,
yeah,
the more it is.
Right. I mean, it could be 5 figures.
My point being is you don't have college students living down there. You've got professionals,
right,
that are making some serious money.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy comes out, morning routine, he's standing on his balcony and he's drinking a cup of coffee and he looks down and he sees a body. So he calls 911 and says, hey, I think I've found this body. Martin had gone in to talk to the police that morning. Mitchell had, and he said, I knew the minute I walked into the room that something was wrong. I could tell from their demeanor. And that's when they said, we believe we found your brother.
Well, prior to that, though, and I didn't want to go here directly, but we're kind of in that timeline, so we might as well dive into this weird episode.
Yeah.
And let's remind everybody, this is his close. I mean, they're basically best friends.
Yeah.
Mitch is pounding the pavement, looking for his brother, putting up flyers, and really kind of getting pushback. His words, not mine.
Yeah.
Getting pushback from APD and a detective, that is working the case. Mitch gets an odd call, a request.
Yeah.
And that request was essentially a ransom?
A ransom. So
2 or 3 days after his brother goes missing, correct?
It was about 3 days afterwards. He get early in the morning. He gets this text saying we've got your brother. We're going to follow you. You're going to do what we say. You're going to send us this amount of money. You're going to put it on these cards. Blah 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 blah. Or we're going to send your brother. We're going to start cutting him up in pieces,
Mm-hmm.
sending him back to you. So he does. He calls his mother. He alerts his family. And truly, with the intention of, I may not survive this, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to get my brother. And he leaves the house.
He doesn't expect to come back.
He doesn't.
From what he says is, he's like, I'm either going to come back with my brother or I'm not coming back at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I got to tell you, I got sitting there talking to him about it. He got emotional. I got emotional. It's you want to be empathetic, but at the same time keep an open mind. If we've worked another case where it's a suicide, and people don't want to believe it. It's an ugly, awful subject. People don't want to believe it. People don't want to believe that. Family doesn't want to believe that this well-built kid, this athletic kid, could drown.
Kid.
Yeah,
Right.
And so you want to keep that an open mind to the possibility that you may find that he actually did. This is not the case here. There's too many question marks.
So he's still clinging on hope.
Yeah, he's been told his brother's not in the water.
Yep.
Now he's got verifiable proof and a text that somebody has kidnapped Martin, and they need money. And so he starts filling out these cards, and he starts sending them this money. I think
He does send the first one, correct?
I think more than one. It was all in all, it was about $4,000 that he sent this kidnapper. And the kidnapper, tells him to go to the police department, but not to tell him what's going on because they want to test him, and he's being watched. So he does. He goes to the police department on the 26th, and he says that's when he knew something was wrong. And they're still texting him.
Well, that was the next request.
Yeah.
Weren't they? They had asked for more funds.
Yeah, they were.
And he was en route to deposit more funds. And I don't know. We'll show it in the documentary. I don't know if it was like Bitcoin or was it just straight up cash?
Well, I think he put it on like an American Express card, gave them the number, and then they would just pull the number out of, so it's all.
And in your experience, does
done.
that sound like somebody trolling you from another country? I mean, when you start talking about chopping people up.
Generally, there's somebody, it may wind up in another country, but generally there's somebody close by.
Yeah.
So the depravity of human beings is astounding sometimes.
But they know he's at a weak
They
point.
know it.
He's desperate.
Right. These are vultures.
It's a good way to put it. So he goes in there, and he knows it immediately.
Yeah, they tell him, they said, we're pretty sure we found your brother. He basically tells these kidnappers to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to convince him that the police are lying to him. No, we've still got him. We still got him,
Yeah, make the deposit.
Right, and they're unfortunately, it was Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where forensic question number 2 comes in. Martin's eyes, we mentioned it earlier, were opaque. So he wasn't exposed to air. He wasn't exposed to sunlight. He's been underwater for 6 days. His eyes should have been as clear as yours and mine.
Correct. According to the theory. So just so that's crystal clear, because I think that's such an important part.
Yeah.
If he would have said what they said happened and fell in the water within minutes, his eyes would have been crystal clear. Correct?
Yeah.
It needs exposure. And what I found interesting is the fact that his brother Mitch is a registered nurse.
Yep.
Correct? I mean, he's
nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner. So
Yeah.
he can a grade above.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
He
so-
can prescribe medications. He can,
So he knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff.
And so when they tell him this, he's going, even in his, state of mind, he calls bullshit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they say, we found your brother. Now what happens?
They recover the body. The ME performs an autopsy the next day. So that people know in Texas, if you die from something other than natural causes, the state law says you must perform an autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
So they perform the autopsy the next day, and probably takes about a week or two for the family to get access to it. He's contacted by the ME, who immediately suggests, or recommends is probably a better word, recommends that he cremate the body. And
Not that significant at that time. It almost comes across as,
Right.
hey, sympathetic, right? Hey,
Absolutely.
you don't
want to see your brother like
But who would
this.
have an open casket anyway?
No one would.
Right.
And that was my statement to him. I said, number one, it's a little assumptive. I can understand, listen, this is We identified him from his driver's license. We don't need you to see the body.
All makes
Mitchell,
sense.
you don't want your family to see the body, and it is. I've seen them. It's horrible.
Right.
But who the fuck are you to suggest that I cremate? My. I'm not going to do an open. Hey, look at my bloated,
Right.
water ravaged. They're not going to do that. So I thought maybe it was just a misguided suggestion. But then I get these 12 autopsy reports, and I start breaking them down and talking to people, and I find out that virtually all of them are told to cremate the bodies, not to bury them. Okay, that goes beyond. Number one, you're right. Again, who are you to tell me what to do with my family member? But it almost seems like there's a cause or an intent.
Well, and the families don't know until they start to kind of form a support group.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they start to compare notes, they're like, yeah, they recommended that I cremate this body.
Yeah.
And they're like, me too.
Yeah.
Which, I have to say that I get excited about projects. I always do. And I love crime docs and have had some success with them. Actually put somebody away in prison. You get involved, and this one, I mean, we're just at the beginning, but I'm telling you, it has all the trademarks of something stinks.
Well, you and I went down there.
Mm-hmm.
The city has put up this shitty 2-rail cedar fence because they said it looks like Austin. That's about 18 to 20 feet off the shoreline of a river that's probably 250, 300 yards across.
Right.
That is glass smooth.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of kayakers. It's also got an algae in it that's toxic. It's toxic to animals and long-term has toxicity for people. But in all these autopsies that I'm reading, none of them are talking about, well, one of them does. None of them talks about finding water in the lungs. None of them. They find, so.
And would you say a majority of these, even though they're ruled everything from unknown to potential suicide or maybe suicide,
Yeah.
I mean, or drowning, but all of them have been pulled from the water, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Wouldn't you have all the evidence of that? The blue algae?
That was my first red flag. Number one, how is it that over 20 people drowned and nobody in a real popular running and bicycling area at all times? How is it that nobody hears a splash? Nobody hears, help me, I'm drowning. Nobody hears screaming. But even if that were possible, you hit the water, and I've saved a young man one time from drowning, and this kid climbed me like a tree. He couldn't get out. He would have walked across the water if I'd have let him.
Right.
So you've got to fight on your hands the minute you
I've almost
start
drowned.
saying, okay,
I mean,
you're panicked. Yeah,
you're panicked. You're struggling. I mean,
you're sucking in water.
well, that's what does you in.
Yeah,
Right.
But you're before you go under, your stomach, you're swallowing water. Nothing. Now, some of them talked about a brown fluid in the intestinal tract. That could be, but they all say the airways are clear. So you should have traces of that algae. You should have, your lungs will carry like, I think it's 1.4 gallons of fluid inside them. They don't mention any, they say, here we took the lungs out, they weigh this much, but they never mention what should absolutely prove they're a drowning victim, and that is they had water in the lungs. and there was brown water, and it was full of algae, which, none of that's in any of them. In any of them. One mentioned something about a green, flaky material, which is that algae. One of the 12 that I've looked at. So that was my big red flag. Why aren't they saying? And then all of a sudden, everything turns to undetermined. Undetermined cause of death, undetermined, because we can't figure out how the guy got in the water. So now we're not even saying he's a drowning victim. We're just saying it's all undetermined. Leaves it wide open.
And, we intend to go and if we can, talk to all the families. Now, only 2 of them have hired you, and that's kind of the point of the documentary is, that's what we would do anyway if they hired you or not.
Yeah.
You first tell the story through the victim's eyes, if you can, right? Yeah. And through their perspective along with yours. We've run into some really, as we've dove deeper into this, I would have to say that, now they're starting to find drugs in some of them. Everything ranging from methamphetamines to marijuana to PCP. And the reason why I bring that up is there's some odd drugs and substances that are getting mixed into there, right?
Right.
The rubbing alcohol, the gabapentin.
Yeah.
And sorry if I butchered that.
No. Gabapentin and quitapine.
Yep.
And there's a couple of others, but of the 12 autopsies, so half of the ones that I'm
victims,
interested
right.
in have taken a combination of an antipsychotic or anti-schizophrenic medication with an anti-anxiety or seizure medication.
Right.
Turns out, if you grind them up, they can and mix them together, they can cause hallucinations, dizziness, sleepiness, disorientation.
It'll knock you out.
It's basically a cheap Rufinol.
Right. Okay. And they did find GHB in some of the victims.
And some of the victims are GHB. And in one of them, the ME actually says it's naturally occurring in the body. And it turns out GHB,
the date rape drug.
The date rape drug is a naturally occurring, but it's such a minuscule amount, it would be almost impossible to find it. But they're saying, like alcohol, it amplifies through the fermentation process, but not to the levels that I'm seeing. And again, the one that bothers me the most, and I haven't found an answer to it yet, but I will, is the isopropanol, rubbing alcohol. Who drinks rubbing alcohol? And it's just
not even alcoholics.
Right.
You can't.
It's in small quantities. So turns out, guess what that does? Causes vomiting, illness, disorientation, dizziness. Now, what would happen if I ground up quitapine and gabapentin and I liquefied it with a little rubbing alcohol? So it's going to make me nauseous. It's going to disorient me. It's going to make me dizzy.
Go to the bathroom potentially.
Yeah.
So if you're in the bar and you start to, I got to go to the bathroom.
I got to go.
Very much what happened to Martin.
Correct.
Martin excuses himself. He's with his friends. He says, I got to go take a leak.
Yep.
And then feels so bad, he goes out the back end through the back of the bar.
Yep.
And that's when he goes skipping.
And starts skipping. He's disoriented, walking from 30 feet from one bar to another.
When we say disoriented, head is down.
Yeah.
This couple.
Night and day.
Yeah. Just,
like that.
And how quick can those effects hit you? Within
minutes.
Minutes?
Depending on the quantity and the severity of it. And for somebody like Martin, who doesn't take medication, who works out every day, it would have hit him almost instantly. Within a couple of minutes, and it would have had an amplified effect because he has no tolerance.
Right.
So it really would have had a profound effect on him. there's one of the autopsy. The guy was witnessed vomiting close to the Colorado River, Lady Bird Lake. So is it that they start feeling sick and they're disoriented and they walk down there? But you and I were down there and looking at that stupid fence that wouldn't stop a horse from getting into the water. And I said, you know, this is the perfect hunting ground.
Did you ever, have you been out there at night?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went out there about a week ago with my camera guy. We were getting footage, went down Rainy Street, and then ended up, there's no way. I mean, you're inviting trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, and they have recently put up some piss poor lighting.
Oh.
Right? I mean,
barely lights the poles that they're attached to.
Because they don't want to interrupt the birds, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
It's still, there are pockets of darkness.
Yeah.
Complete darkness. But, you know.
Big shrubs.
Yeah.
I could hide down there so easily.
I
could be on you before
balk at what our gut says, though. But you and I feel like this is more the hunting ground and then the dumping ground.
Yeah.
That it's not that they're wandering around and then somebody comes and you know, attacks them.
Look back through history. Serial killers, we know that were serial killers that were never caught. Right. Water, Green River Killer, Smiley Face Killer, always dump their victims in water. You want to destroy physical evidence? Put them in water. It's over with. And the easy way to dismiss it and not, I don't know, spend millions trying to investigate it is say, drowning, accidental. But now there's such an outcry because there's so many.
Yeah.
They're going undetermined. We don't know how he wound up in the water. John Clark Hayes was on PCP, angel dust. He could
like an 80s drug, like a biker's.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to
Who
tell you,
takes PCP?
I was a police officer back then. I was a state police officer, and got in a fight with probably 10 other cops that had chased this kid, and we had a run through Arlington, and he got stuck in the mud and got out, got in a fight, and it took all 10 of us to hold this guy down so the 11th one could cuff him. He had amazing strength, no pain. It didn't matter what I did. I couldn't get this kid to hold still. He had no pain receptors. John Hayes Clark on PCP probably could have run across that lake.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
right.
There was another kid that hopped up on methamphetamine enough that he had been up for quite some time. Again, he's got all the energy in the world. How are these people drowning?
I mean, that's 2 out of, you know, roughly 24 or something like that. Another interesting fact, the date. Now, it started with Martin's family. Now we're going to go with Santiago, which is victim number what, 1? Number 2?
Pretty much number 1. I mean, we can back up into the early 2000s, but once Rainy Street became more popular.
In 2018. 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. The date is pretty significant right now.
Yeah.
All happening, or at least those victims and Pew, correct? November 25th.
Yeah, there's a lot of Novembers, there's a lot of Junes, a lot of Aprils. Again, I tried to, you know, look at the time, at the timeline, because they should have been, you know, whoever's doing this should have been jonesing. I need it now. And so we discussed this.
Well, let me interrupt you, though. So if you take the Zodiac Killer, you know, he would have periods to where he would go dormant.
Yeah.
A little bit. And it was, you know, either he was not incarcerated. I believe well, the main suspect in the Zodiac killer, I believe he was in a state hospital. So there was a period of like 4 years. So sometimes there's not, hey, it's the killing month,
Right.
you know, or
Right.
maybe something triggers them, something sets them off.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure. Shoot.
How do you know that about the Zodiac killer?
I mean, I read a lot.
Right. That's my. So what if, just throwing the thought out there, what if we're dealing with a new breed of serial killer, somebody that has studied it? You and I could walk into Walmart right now, and I promise you I can find a book on a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody has studied them and knows, number one, best way not to get caught, put them in water. Number two, maybe the pattern is to forcibly not have a pattern. What if we are dealing with a highly intellectual, and most serial killers are very intelligent.
Oh, very, yeah.
That has studied the successes as well as the failures of their predecessors. What if we're dealing with somebody that is in the perfect hunting ground where some of those people legitimately drowned or committed suicide? One of them was witnessed jumping off the bridge, going underwater, and not resurfacing the whole time. So he's and it posted stuff about suicide.
Right, okay.
So what if I've got the perfect hunting ground that it's dark, it's secluded, it's wooded, it's right there by water, and occasionally people just have an accident. Now I truly do have the perfect hunting ground, and I am the consummate perfect killer.
Because the police, because they're dismissing it and because they can easily write it off or explain it, kind of becomes your alibi.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
I mean, it's really, if that is really the case, it's genius.
But then and it is. But then you have Martin. And there's others like him that don't do drugs, are professional, intelligent, heterosexual, work out all the time, physically capable, that forensically there's things that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
How did this kid drown? He's an avid swimmer. He works out all the time. He's got a bruise that would have taken an hour and a half to develop. He's got opaque eyes. He's strong, but he's seen skipping down the road. He changes from one bar 30 feet to the next bar like that. So is he being stalked?
Online or
and then somebody walks up and says, hey, I live right over here. Let me take you down. Let me, follow me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to say. And I, in my experience, the more families you talk to, the more we dive into this, and I've told the family members, we may not have the answer,
right,
but we're going to have better than what you have right now. We're going to have an
correct
answer.
And as I've talked with these family members and we're discussing signing contracts and me representing them.
So yeah, a couple have hired you. Why do you think, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Why do you think, or why have they reached out? Why have they, because, well, we know the answer, but
well, it goes back to another case that you and I had worked on that has a worldwide fingerprint,
mm-hmm.
but certainly a national fingerprint, where a young man went missing. His remains were found 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
The family had hired a private investigator, and the theory came out immediately that the sheriff of the county was involved in covering up a murder, or potentially being the murder,
mm-hmm.
had to step down in disgrace. And I got involved in it at the request of a family member, a cousin, and I just made some notes and sent it to her. And those notes wound up in the hands of a guy that owns a radio station that had been involved in the case from day one. And it turns out I proved that the family was lying. Now, I don't think they killed the kid at all. I truly believe he committed suicide, but not the point. The point is, I have an eye for detail, and I don't have quit. I don't have back down in me. We got sued by the family. It went to the appellate court, and they took it to the state Supreme Court, which has ruled in our favor. So I just don't have back off in me, and
which is the reasoning why we had to put a pause on that particular project, just because of some of the legal. They did not want that information, what we have filmed, your testimony, to ever see the light of day. Right. And not to dive too much in that. Yeah. But we have a golden opportunity here. Me as a filmmaker, typically how it works is I develop stuff. I've been head of development. I've sold and, probably, over a dozen series, ones that people have heard of. But you start that process, but then you go through an agent, then that's almost like a year at the minimum.
Right.
And then, then it has to go through the machine and it gets sometimes sterilized, neutered, and it doesn't really resemble what the raw footage, what the producers cut. And a lot of times, because they own it, the public never gets to see the true story.
The meat of it, yeah.
Right. And in this case, we've decided, Mike and I, that we're going to release this as we go.
Yeah.
In hopes of there's power in information, and it's going to resonate with somebody.
And you know what? How we're talking about ugly subjects, but how cool is it that we're bringing the viewing audience along for the ride from day one? We're showing you the steps we take in the investigation. You're not getting the cutting floor version of it.
Well, we're not glorifying it.
No.
And I can't speak for you. I get really emotionally attached to the family, to the subjects, to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you could really effectively do it.
You couldn't.
Without it. I mean, we get so passionate, we start yelling at each other, right? I mean, and we're good friends.
Right. And that's exactly right.
You get passionate.
The parts you have to do from an investigative standpoint is, you can't look at this brother that's crying because he lost his brother and nobody's giving him any answers, and not be emotionally attached to that, not be empathetic to it. But you've also got to have that part of you that goes, I'm going to stay neutral and unemotional, and I'm going to see what happens. And that's where I struggle, is because I'll find myself wanting to find the answer that he wants, and I've got to stop and back up and go, I need to find the right answer. In the previous case, I wanted to prove that the sheriff had murdered this kid, and what I found was the family had lied and covered it up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's a real.
But that wasn't discovered immediately.
No.
And I would have to say that in that case, in the Tom Brown case, we, I probably had 4 different. He definitely was killed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I went in thinking, man, that dirty sheriff, that son of a bitch.
Yep.
And then call you up, Mike, I don't think he did it. After interviewing him,
it.
I'm like, is this?
And I would, and I remember saying to you, Tom, ask me. I promise you, I've asked every question you're going to ask me for myself, and we would argue about it. I could see what I went through, and then an issue. You wanted that sheriff to be dirty. You wanted him to be the bad guy.
But I mean, any good filmmaker, or at least it would be your last if you go in there with an agenda.
Right.
So I kind of have to go with where the story takes you.
Got to find that neutral.
I mean, you do. I mean, I try to the best of my ability, tell both sides of the story. It's just, I'm telling it through your eyes.
Right.
Or
right.
However that comes
but
out.
It's the same principle for being an investigator. You can't help the human side of it, but you've got to stay in that zone where you're even keeled, where you may, and I tell my clients all the time, I may not find any answers, I may not find the answer that you want, but I'm going to find something, and I'll keep you abreast of it. I'll let you know what's going on.
But to your point, I'm sorry.
Well, no, and I guess there's strength in numbers, and here's something that has bothered me since we got involved in the Rainy Street Ripper story. It bothers me today. That damn fence. That fence.
That has really gotten.
It's got me fired up because I'm thinking, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars did they do the city spend to put up a fence that wouldn't stop anybody from getting in the water?
And your recommendation is save your money, get active patrol.
Correct. If you go
but that would be admitting that you have a problem, right?
Depending on the way it is now. But that's why I would like to have strength in numbers where I represented multiple family members, so I could go as a neutral, more or less, before the city council and say, I'm not asking you to admit wrongdoing. I'm not asking you to admit. I'm asking you to do a social experiment with me. You go around on 6th Street in Austin, Texas on a Friday, Saturday night, and you'll have 20 sets of cops on horseback, on bicycles, and on foot patrol. And that's what, 12 blocks long?
Yes. I mean, it's a totally different vibe. Like,
It is.
You go to 6th Street and if you're not of college age, it's a rougher crowd.
Right. Right. They've got that many cops down there because they anticipate violence.
Right.
Of some type, drunken violence. You've had 24 people die in a 5-year period of time, in a 1-mile stretch. That dead center is Rainy Street, your number 2 bar mecca in Austin, Texas. So how many lives, not drunks, not fist fights, how many lives are an acceptable loss to the city of Austin?
Yeah, I think if you ask the family members, one.
So why can't they get me a couple of guys on horseback and a couple of guys on bicycles to ride up and down, back and forth on that 1-mile stretch and keep people out of there?
Well, what's the magic number? Does it have to get up to 30, 100?
Well, and
what is that number?
I don't know. But here's I think the stall, and you brought it up, isn't that them admitting wrongdoing? But what if somebody representing the families went and said, look, we're not asking for that. We're asking for you to set up patrols, bicycle and horseback patrols up and down that 1-mile stretch for 1 year. Give us 1 year, 4 police officers.
Well, haven't they been doing that? I mean, according to Mitch,
they did it for about a month.
Well, they went to city council. Well, I mean, he raised all sorts of hell to the point to where we didn't bring this up. The more hell he raised, he started receiving messages on social media, DMing him. You better watch your ass. This is way above your pay grade, buddy. I mean, this is millions and millions of dollars you're playing with.
And here's where I can help these family members. Families are automatically dismissed because they are emotionally tied to it. Mm-hmm. So they're considered not to make rational decisions. Of course, they don't want to believe it's a suicide. Of course, they don't want to believe it's an accident. Of course, and so they're dismissed. Mm-hmm. We've done everything right, but they keep amping it up. Now we're reviewing it. Now they're not drownings. Now they're undetermined. So they leave this open-ended bullshit,
right,
to cover their ass. But here comes this guy that I've not lost anybody. I just represent these people. And here's what I found, folks. I found that 40% of the people that have died down there have got a combination of illicit or medical drugs in their system. Some of them have rubbing alcohol in their system that don't fit that profile. How many lives? Screw your fence that won't stop anybody. That was a $200,000 waste of time and energy. And how many people did you have building that thing? Give me 4 cops, 2 on horseback, 2 on bikes, just crisscrossing, keeping people away from the water.
Well, I guarantee you it'd stop.
You bet it would. And if in 1 year, now could you have a drowning accident? Absolutely. And I'm not even saying all day long. The party starts around 7 o'clock. Let's have it from 7 to 3.
Yeah. Overtime.
Yeah.
Somebody would
And
gladly take it.
Let's see what happens.
Oh, we know it would happen.
We know what would happen.
Right. Right.
So I'm not asking the city, I wouldn't ask the city to say, hey, we screwed up. We're liable. I don't want that. But what I would like to see is people stop dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully that happens. Mike, I could sit here. We could talk all day. We actually have a family to go see today.
Yep.
But and let the viewing public make a decision. You know, let them see if they can see what we see.
Come on the ride.
Yeah, come on the ride. Hey,
all
buddy,
you got to do.
I appreciate you coming.
Tell everybody to out there when you see it on YouTube, hit subscribe.
Oh yeah,
that's what we need. Hit subscribe, follow us, and have a voice. That's what we're giving people. I think that hasn't been seen on YouTube before. We're bringing you in from day one, and we're giving you a voice.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because at least I don't have all the answers. I mean, I'm just a filmmaker that, you know, that is just documenting, you know, the Rainy Street Ripper through your eyes, through the family's eyes. And so I hope you guys, you know, stay with us and tune in, and we'll see you. We'll see you shortly.
See you shortly.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.